What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Brutal Planet Comics. I'm your host, Dre the Brute Daniels. Happy Thursday to you all. Well, yesterday, some Star Wars got dropped. As you can see, I'm rocking this shirt. So today, we're going to be reviewing Tales of the Jedi. Dave Filoni's back at it, doing what he does best, creating animated Star Wars stuff. I am a Dave Filoni fan, so I thought I'd go ahead and take a look, and here is my review of it. Now, we're going to break this down episode by episode. It's 6 episodes, and I'm going to do my regular old format. I'm going to give the good bits up and the bad bits a down. So let's go and up these downs. Let's get started. So the first episode is entitled Life and Death, and it is featuring Ahsoka's birth and kind of pretty much her origin story. Was I excited to see where she came from? Not really. I felt the story was a little unnecessary. We didn't really need it, but it was nice to see like her village and things like that, and how her society works, hunter-gatherer society. Not a whole lot happens. Let's be real. So, but there was one thing that kind of stood out to me was the lesson her mother was trying to teach her about the view of death. Her mother goes out hunting with her. Once Ahsoka reaches 1 year of age, they go on their first hunt with their mother. I guess that's the tradition here. And they hunt a deer. I'm sure it has a different name, but it's a deer. And she shoots it, and it's not quite dead. Ahsoka, obviously she's a baby and looking away. Her mom, that makes her face life and death, because it's all the circle of life and all that great stuff. So while she's preparing to take the deer out, they are attacked by a saber-toothed tiger. And Ahsoka is taken for reasons didn't really make a whole lot of sense. I guess they were just gonna take her and eat her later. It was kind of odd. Mom tried to fight her off, but then the village comes and the tiger runs off. So I guess this all kind of sets up how strong Ahsoka is with the Force. So she uses the beast tame technique on the saber-toothed tiger, and the tiger obeys her commands. And then it takes her back home. Plain and simple. And then I guess the leader of the tribe is like, oh, she's a Jedi. That's pretty much how the episode ends. Now, this episode was okay, I guess. There was a couple, like the high point with trying to teach Ahsoka the lesson, even though the baby's 1 year old, but whatever. Teach the baby the lesson on accepting life and death. But then there was a couple of structural things, like I don't know why the tiger didn't take the deer. And I really didn't need to see an origin for Ahsoka. That's just me personally. So, for me, this episode was odd. Wasn't good, wasn't horrible, but it was serviceable. So we move on to the second episode, and it's entitled Justice. Now, this episode actually gets pretty interesting. So we have a young Qui-Gon Jinn going with young Count Dooku, and they are there to find a senator's son that has been kidnapped. Now, it's revealed that this entire town has been impoverished by the senator. The senator is extremely corrupt, and he has impoverished the people, and they took the senator's son in order to get their attention so they can get help for their town. Simple enough. I liked it. So the senator shows up with his honor guard and demands Count Dooku and Qui-Gon, hey, give me my son right now, blah, 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 and tells Count Dooku, you don't serve these people, you serve the Senate. And Count Dooku's like, no, I serve the people, not the Senate. And then a firefight breaks out, all that craziness, and the townspeople are fighting. Of course, they don't stand a chance of getting hit. Qui-Gon and Dooku defend the people because that's what they stand for. They don't stand for political stuff, they stand for the people. So Dooku, and this was really, really cool, Dooku starts tapping into the dark side and starts choking the senator and basically saying, your kind of corruption is why this galaxy has a problem and needs to be snuffed out. Qui-Gon thinks quickly on his feet, grabs the son and says, hey, go out there and save your father. He goes and embraces his father and tells his father, like, hey, why'd you do this? Look at all the problems that you caused our people. You're hurting our people. And Dooku is able to snap out of his rage. So this was like our first taste of seeing Dooku start to turn to the dark side. But his turning to the dark side it's kind of warranted, seeing how corrupt the Senate is and how the Jedi are looked at as their lapdogs. So I like this. I like this a lot. So at the end of the episode, the senator's son, I guess he's going to take over and like, hey, I'm going to make sure that my people are taken care of. And Dooku and Qui-Gon, they have a deep conversation about the wisdom of Qui-Gon and how he was able to think on his feet and to think in the moment when Dooku was losing his mind. I liked this episode a lot. I thought the pacing was good. The message was awesome. I'm going to go ahead and give it an up. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it very, very much. So episode 3 rolls around and it's called Choices. We all have them. So Count Dooku, well, not Count Dooku, he's just Master Dooku right now. Duh. And Mace Windu, at this time, they're both just masters. Count Dooku, I'm just going to keep saying it. Mace Windu is not on the council at this point. They are investigating the murder of a Master Jedi. So they go to a planet where the Jedi was killed, and they're here to recover the body. Now, Dooku is in full investigator mode. Like, hey, I got to figure out what happened. She was my friend. I got to know what went down. While Mace is very by the book ideologue, like, oh no, we're here to do this and then we're going to get out of here. But Dooku's not feeling all that. And I'm with him. He's like, I want to know why it went down. I want to investigate. So as they investigate, they see that the senator, once again, a corrupt piece of garbage, pretty much was going to be assassinated by the city folk because he has been selling off pieces of their planet and they are being impoverished. That's more than enough for anybody to revolt, obviously. So the issue became that the Jedi happened to be there at the meeting point where they were going to ambush the senator, and they pretty much shot her up from behind. So, you know, she didn't really stand a chance, and they murder her in cold blood. So in the midst of the skirmish, they kill the senator, the rebels, kill the senator, and Count Dooku is talking to one of the survivors and like, hey, explain yourself, and he drops it all the knowledge on him. And Dooku is like, hey, bruh, I can't stand for what you've done. You've killed my friend. You're going to stand trial, blah, 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 blah. And he looks at Mace, and Mace is like, hey, you went against the code. You went against the reason why we were here, the whole 9 yards. Even though Dooku, through his actions, pretty much brought justice to his dead friend, Mace had a problem with it. Mace had a problem with the way he went about it because it resulted in death, despite the fact that he was doing the right thing. Sounds familiar. There's a theme happening here. So they take the Jedi's body back to Coruscant for the burial ceremony. Dooku calls Mace Windu over, and Mace Windu has been put onto the council seat that Dooku's friend had before she died. And Dooku asks him, hey, were you aware that you were going to become a council member? You want to take her seat? Mace claims that he didn't know about it. And Dooku, of course, is not happy. He is skeptical, to say the least, because it all seems like a big setup. Even though, he had nothing to do, Mace had nothing to do with the death, but he sees all the politics that's involved and it infuriates him. So once again, this is another good episode about choices, the consequences that come with it, and doing the right thing. And despite doing the right thing, you might still get bit in your cheeks. I like this episode. It's getting it up. So we go to episode 4, entitled The Sith Lord. This was my favorite episode by far. This was tremendous. So we start off like near the third act of episode 1, when Qui-Gon takes Anakin to the council and informs them that they were attacked by a Sith Lord. And he's coming back, and Master Yaddle and Master Dooku are having a conversation about the happenings and findings of the Sith Lord, and how the council doesn't believe Qui-Gon fully. They believe they were attacked, but they were so arrogant, they did not believe that Qui-Gon had actually faced a Sith Lord. So Qui-Gon and Dooku have a pretty cool heart-to-heart about Obi-Wan and how he's coming along as a great student, and Dooku's eager to meet him. Now, but before all this went down, Dooku was seen in the archives deleting all the records of Kamino. So this kind of ties into episode 2 when they couldn't find what Kamino was and all that good stuff. So Qui-Gon goes on to his mission. He's going to go face Darth Maul, the whole 9 yards, blah, 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 blah. Yaddle has a conversation with Dooku basically saying like, oh, the council didn't believe him, but I did, more or less, so on and so forth. Because the council is becoming disillusioned, and Yaddle can see that. And Dooku's like, nah, y'all for the streets. I don't want to deal with y'all. So we fast forward. Qui-Gon has just been killed. And they're about to have the funeral for him on Naboo. And Dooku is mourning at this tree that he used to take Qui-Gon to when he was a little boy. And he's in mourning. He's in mourning. Like he is deeply hurt. He's deeply wounded by the loss of his Padawan. Yaddle shows up and tells him about the funeral that's happening. And he tells him, there's no way I'm going. I can't, because he can't. He loved Qui-Gon. It was like, like it's his son. He can't go. And Yaddle senses like, oh, you blame us for his death. And he's like, yeah, I blame you for his death. Because you didn't believe him and now he's gone. And he excused himself because he is deeply, deeply hurt. So he gets in a ship and he starts flying to the other side of Coruscant, where he meets Darth Sidious. And they have and Dooku is pissed, and rightfully so. He's like, hey, yo, you let Maul kill Qui-Gon? And Sidious is like, you've lost an apprentice. I've lost an apprentice. So pretty much he's like, yo, tick for tack, we good. But obviously he's pissed. So Yaddle followed Dooku over there, and this is like the ultimate temptation of Dooku if he's going to turn the dark side or not. Yaddle admits to him, hey, I stepped down from the council because I don't believe what they stand for anymore. Dooku, you were right. Join me and we can help fix the Jedi. Darth Sidious is like, forget those idiots, they're nothing, they're weak, blah 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 blah, which is true. So he has this tug of war, and he's literally standing in the middle of them, and then he ends up siding with Sidious because his guilt. He's like, I've done too much. Too many people have died, including his Padawan, Qui-Gon, who he loved. And so him and Yaddle have this pretty cool choreographed fight. I enjoyed it very thoroughly. And in the midst of it, Yaddle still admits of the faults of the Jedi and how he can still fix things. The fight rages on. Eventually, Yaddle is defeated after using the Force to not be crushed by these doors. And Dooku stands over her and says, well, first she tells him like, hey, the peace that you're trying to create is going to just bring more death, more suffering, more craziness. And then he tells Master Yaddle, then let me bring you peace. And then he kills her. Oh, Dale, this episode was tremendous. By far the best episode of this series. It gets an up. Without question, it gets an up. I really enjoyed this. The pacing was good. The energy was good. The writing was great. Acting was tremendous. The messages were awesome. I love this episode. It was very good. So we get into episode 5, and it's called Practice Makes Perfect. And it starts off with a young Padawan, Ahsoka Tano, training in a Jedi training facility, and Anakin shows up and sees that this training is garbage. And it is. It's just blocking a couple blaster bolts while this laser joint's coming in on you. And he's like, this is trash. This is not real training. He decides to make his own training for her. He has all of the a group of the 501st put all their guns on stun and have her try to sense when they're about to shoot, so her timing can be incredible. right off the back. Like, oh, psh, psh, whatever. She fails over and over and over and over again, and I love it because that builds character, that builds development. It shows you why she is so good because of the grueling training that Anakin put her in. Not to mention, Anakin wanted to do this for her because he loved her. That was like his little sister. He cared for her so much that he never wanted to see her get hurt, never wanted to see her die on the battlefield because he's seen so many other Jedi fall because they are not trained enough. So he puts her through this grueling training in order for her to be the very best. Fast forward a few years into the Clone Wars, she is still doing this training with a 501st, and she gets better and better and better. Even Captain Rex says, "Oh, it took us almost 5 minutes to actually hit a stun shot on you," and her endurance for the stun gets better. So you keep seeing this growth and all these things that she had to endure to make her great, all the way till it builds up until the greatest test she ever had, which was Order 66. It's a great way of seeing the progression of a character, showing how a character can grow, showing how, and more or less a training montage. It is done very well. I enjoyed it. It gets an up. Then we get to the final episode called Resolve. So this is during Padme's funeral. Ahsoka has snuck in, and she is seen by, oh my God.
I'm kind of retarded.
Good God, who are you? Not Jimmy Smits, I guess that's the actor. Senator Organa. There we go. Good Lord. Senator Organa sees her during the funeral and is like, "Hey, you shouldn't be here. You shouldn't have come here." So they have this they talk for a little while, but then there's some guards coming. So she hides. But while she's hiding, he gives her a communicator and pretty much speaks to her like as if he's talking to the troopers, saying, "If you ever need me, call me." So it's nice little setup there. So she's living a pedestrian life, you know, as most Jedi do during this time period. And then these bales of hair about to crush a young girl. And of course, you can't just let her die. She used the Force. The little girl notices. And so the little girl's like, "Oh my God." Well, I guess she's, you know, teenager, whatever her age is, like, "Oh my God, you're great, blah, blah, blah." But she has a brother who is very pro-Empire. Very pro-Empire. Like, oh, loyalty will be rewarded and all this stuff. So the girl goes and talks to Ahsoka later on that night. It's like, "Hey, I know you're a Jedi." Her brother overhears. So Ahsoka and the young girl are off to the main town to go sell hay. And then this gangster-looking Inquisitor shows up, burns the whole town, kills everybody except for the boy and I guess his father or grandfather, whoever the relation is. And it's like, "Hey, you told me there was a Jedi here. Where's the Jedi? I want to kill this Jedi." Ahsoka finally comes, and this is where I got a little disappointed. So Ahsoka shows up. The Inquisitor turns around and is like, "Oh, so you are here." And then he looks at her and he's like, "It can't be." And then mentions her by name. He's like, "You're Ahsoka Tano. You're supposed to be dead." And he rolls up on her and she straight claps this dude. I love that. I love it. Because we already saw all the training, all the stuff she went through. Takes whoever this former Jedi is, because it's a Inquisitor, former Jedi, just one swipe, that the mask flew off, and then they're dead. Now, here's the part that I kind of got upset with. I wanted to see who was behind the mask. I was itching to be like, okay, they're gonna show me. Okay, they're gonna show me. I was hoping it would be like Baron Coffee or something. You know, just somebody from her past that, you know, that has now been an Inquisitor for the Empire. But they never show us who it is, so that kind of disappointed me. That kind of disappointed me a little bit. But so she contacts Senator Organa and gets the remaining folks off, and she agrees to join the rebellion. And that's how Resolve ends. I was liking this episode all the way to the point where I didn't get the payoff, because I felt like, but this showed the genius of Dave Filoni. Like, despite the fact that this character was on screen for maybe a minute, I was so invested in who they were based on the dialogue that was put there. Hats off to them. But the fact that I didn't get the payoff, it hurt it a little bit for me. So, I mean, I really wanted it, so I'm gonna give this an But just because of that, because I really thought that payoff would have been huge. No matter who it was, I think the payoff would have been huge. But overall, I still enjoyed myself. So that is my review of Tales of the Jedi. What did you guys think of it? I thought it was very good. I enjoyed myself thoroughly. I thought I had a lot of fun. Overall, this series, I'm gonna go ahead and give it an up. So let me know in the comment section below what you guys think about Tales of the Jedi. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And when you subscribe, don't forget to hit the little bell alert. And share the video. As always, you guys have been awesome. I'll catch you all next time. Also, if you want to support my channel, check out spinwiz.com or download the Spinwiz app. And check out my comic series, Trouble. It was written with a lot of love. And it was definitely my favorite comic series to write. I've also written it in English and in Spanish. So whatever floats your boat, I got it for you. Thanks again, and check it out.